Well, good evening to you. And we're here again tonight for another episode of Advancing the Cause. Tonight, we're going to be examining the topic we have there, which says, where are we? The much anticipated meeting. Before we start this program, I want to extend birthday wishes like we would normally do to all those who would have celebrated birthdays last Friday, last Wednesday, as a matter of fact. Why am I thinking Friday? Last Wednesday to today, Wednesday. Happy birthday to all of you. I know we have Sister Edna on David Street, Kitty. Has she celebrated 106 years? Wow, that's a big one. Happy birthday to you, Grandma Edna, Auntie Edna, everybody Edna. Happy birthday to you. And we trust that God is going to spare your life to see another birthday and another birthday and another birthday. And for everyone else who would have celebrated birthdays during this week, we want to extend best wishes to you. And oh, before I get some lashes, my colleague, the Honorable Vince Roy Jordan, he is also celebrating a birthday today. And so we want to take time out to say happy birthday to you, Honorable Vinci, and we trust that you would have enjoyed your day and the rest of hours that are remaining that you're going to enjoy them as well. I know this has been a working birthday for you, just like all of us, and it's what we have dedicated our lives to doing. So whether it's a birthday or it's an anniversary, we're on the battlefield, we're working. And of course, while we're having a whole lot of fun celebrating birthdays, some of us, the country at this time is in deep mourning. Today, we laid to rest Lieutenant Colonel Michael Charles, coming out of that helicopter crash. And, he was one of our servicemen. There are no words that we can say to family members to have him returned. But of course, these words can bring comfort to their hearts. And we, at this end, would want to say thank you to the family members of Lieutenant Colonel Charles for allowing us to have been able to spend so much time with him, for giving us or giving him to us. Of course, he would have given dedicated service to this country, and we want to thank him for that. I am not sure how we can thank him, but I want to say thank you. And I want to also thank the family members again. May his soul rest in peace. And so, viewers, this is a very critical time for us. So many things are happening one after the other, one after the other. But I want to just shed some light very quickly on another issue that is really affecting us, a situation that we've got to be able to put our hands on. And that is the fact that we're having so many road accidents, so many accidents. Just a couple of mornings ago, we had the police corporal from the Bedford police station. The sergeant is still in hospital, I think. And then a couple of days ago, by the time the road of the Heroes Highway was declared open, there was an accident. And then Sunday morning, we had another accident, which claimed, as of yesterday, 4 lives. And, this is saying to us that we've got to be able to do something to curb these accidents that we have on our roadways. Persons are not safe walking the streets, motorists driving the streets. We have got to be the Guyana Police Force. I want to call on you at this time to do something. The time that we take to have these traffic cops positioning themselves behind posts and in bus sheds and behind the bushes and so on, they should be on the streets where they are visible, so that in itself would cause persons to be a little more conscious about what they're doing on the roadways, and that will cause them to not speed. Because when we look at many of these accidents that we're having, it is as a result of speeding. And so many lives are being lost. So many families are in mourning. Children are left without their parents. Children are left without a parent. Parents are left without a son or sons and daughters. And it's too much. And we have got to be able to act a little more responsible on our roadways. In addition to that, we have seen an increase again with regards to to domestic violence, we want to ask every single Guyanese citizen, every single Guyanese citizen, we want to ask you to look out for each other, to be able to lend a helping hand, because these are issues that we cannot allow to grow to be monsters. We've got to help each other. So if you hear something, I'm not asking you to mind your neighbor's business, mind you, but if you hear about issues that are happening, then you need to make a report. Then you need to offer some advice and lead them to the relevant authorities where they can go out there and receive the kind of help that they need. Too many women are suffering. Too many men are suffering. Too many children are suffering as a result of domestic violence, whether it's happening to their mother or their father. Too many children are seeing big kick up, cuff down in their homes. We've got to be able to curb these issues that we have in these social ills and bring, well, I don't know how we're going to bring an end to it, but we must be able to stem them so that we'll have less of these happening. In addition to that, we've seen murders increasing. Again, the Guyana Police Force, I want to call on the Commissioner of Police acting and his officers to put something in place. We cannot continue to afford to have these murders going, one after the other, one after the other. We cannot continue to have those. And so we have got to be able to pull civil society in. We have to include more partners in what we're doing so that we're going to be able to get the kind of help that is needed. While we have the police who will do what the law requires, if we have many more partners being involved in what we do, then we'll be able to stem some of what is happening here. So on that note, I want to thank you and welcome you to this another edition of Advancing the Cause. And of course, I must say shout out to our friends who are watching us from way out in Barbados, in St. Kitts, in St. Lucia, in Trinidad. And you're going to hear when I find myself in a whole lot of problems because I'm going to miss somebody, some of our folks from Switzerland and Paris and Trinidad and all over those who are watching us. Good night to you. Good night to my friends in French Guiana and those in Suriname. Yes, we've got greetings coming from them. And then we have quite a lot of our friends who are watching us from right here in Guyana. Pick up yourself, Guyanese. Guyana belongs to us. We are Guyanese. And we will continue to hold on to what is rightfully ours. And while we're talking about that, there's so many other issues that we're going to talk about. But I don't want to, I just want to ask you right now to call a friend, tell your friend Advancing the Cause is on, tell your neighbor Advancing the Cause is on, call up your niece, call up your grandmother, call up everybody and let them know Advancing the Cause is on. We, before I forget, I want to say good night to Miss Dummett. From right there in Campbellville. She's always there, tuned into our television to watch us on Advancing the Cause. A special good night to you. And to everyone else who's watching us, good night to you. And it's good to be here again. And we want to say, of course, we have to thank the Creator for allowing so many of us to be in the land of the living, because so many things have been happening. So many persons are here today and tomorrow they're somewhere else. And let me say to the family members, the immediate family and other relatives of the late Hubert Grandison, a former education officer, assistant chief education officer, who passed last week. It's hard. Again, the education sector is poor because of the experience of this fine young man who would have given dedicated service to this country in the field of education. He was also a community man, and he was also a friend of many, 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 many. And so, again, we want to thank his family for allowing us to have him with us for so many years. And we ask that they are going to find comfort in the pleasant memories that they have of him. And so tonight, let's go on. We're going to talk about the where are we? Where are we with this much anticipated meeting? Where are we? And let me back up a little to talk about how long this whole business has been going on. You heard me saying not too long that Essequibo belongs to us. Guyana is ours. And I'm not talking here about one Guyana. I'm talking here about the Guyana that says one people, one nation, one destiny. That's the Guyana I'm talking about. Because if you talk about one Guyana, then we're going to be talking about a Guyana that is only lopsided for one set of people. And you know the Guyana that I'm talking about. And even while we are in deep mourning, there are issues that we need to talk about. There are issues that we have to bring to the fore, because unless we do that, you are not going to be given the kind of information you need, and we would not be able to have much discussions on these issues. And so this whole issue of Guyana and this arbitral arrangement that was accepted by Venezuela long time ago, 1899, they agreed to it. Then again in 1962, they agreed to the demarcation. And so in that arrangement that Venezuela signed on to, it was not only Guyana, Venezuela, but it was Guyana, Venezuela, and Brazil. So Brazil gained land from Venezuela. Venezuela gained land from Guyana. And we accepted that demarcation, and we all signed on to that. Now, 61 years after, we're having this whole issue popping itself up again, where Venezuela is being very, very aggressive, and they're talking about reclaiming Essequibo. Now, I remember the late Forrest Burnham said a long time ago, look, the oil was discovered since way back then. And you know what he said? He said, leave that oil alone. I figure if we heeded to him, we might not have been in this kind of situation that we're in right now. But like everything else, Guyana's got to move on. And so we went to there and we got our oil. And we are now here with Venezuela. This aggression that is being exhibited by Venezuela is a sign of greed. It's also a sign that here is a big state wanting to trample on a little state. But we're going to talk a little more about that. Before I go further, I want to introduce to you, yes, I know I did not tell you that before, because I wanted this to be a surprise. And so we have here joining me on Advancing the Cause, of course, he's no stranger, my own dear comrade in Parliament and in the party, the Honorable Christopher Anthony Jones. Christopher Jones, how are you?
I'm not bad at all, man. Not bad at all, Coretta.
Well, Chris, this has been a very, very trying time for us. It has been one thing into the other, and by the time we're looking to have one aspect resolved, then we bounce into something else and something else. And so I know every time is something else. Yeah. And so, old people would say no rest for the wicked, but I don't think it's no rest for the wicked. It's because we've dedicated ourselves to ensuring that the people of Guyana, they're given their fair share. And so, like I shared with you earlier, that our theme for tonight is Where Are We? The much anticipated meeting. And that's the big talk around this entire country. It's the talk in the Caribbean, it's the talk in the US and Canada, everywhere. This is the talk. Yeah. Even in Africa, we see journalists talking about this, and persons are sending us messages asking what is happening. And this is a serious matter. We have seen Venezuela being very aggressive. And I was just saying to our viewers why we are having this kind of aggression from Venezuela. But more than that, we had a referendum, and we saw the results of the referendum, even though it was not what Maduro wanted, but he's still going ahead. Your thoughts on this?
But essentially, the referendum, though it doesn't bind Guyana in any way, shape, or form to any of the resolutions of that referendum. What essentially Nicolas Maduro wanted is something to give him what he considered Venezuelans' legal input in allowing him to do exactly what we're seeing unfolding now. As it relates to where we are now, pre these discussions that's supposed to happen tomorrow in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I think the statements emanating from the APNU and the AFC speaks loud. It essentially incorporates the views of many Guyanese. It incorporates the views of many leaders across the Caribbean and so forth. And it is a question that we continue to ask ourselves until now as to how is it that you are going to sit and meet with Nicolas Maduro to discuss what? And we are still asking and we're still searching for what that agenda entail. What is it exactly you're going to be discussing? Now, the president is on record as saying that nothing as it relates to Guyana's territorial integrity will be discussed. But at the same time, you've had the St. Vincent Prime Minister Ralph Gonzalez, who had issued a statement, and he was on a video statement as well, saying that they're going to be discussing the Guyana-Venezuela border. And then there you have statements emanating from Nicolas Maduro, in which he says that we're going to discuss the Guyana-Venezuela border controversy. And that is why we always say that before two heads of state meet, there are always these proprietary meetings before. Technical officers will meet, and then they will work out what exactly the leaders are going to be discussed. Then you have another tier of discussion before the leaders actually meet. In this case, it is straight President Ali, President Maduro, right? That is not norm. It is completely off of what you would call normal protocol. Like, for example, if the president is going to meet Joe Biden, they are the technical officers who before will work out what the meeting agenda is, what is going to be discussed, what is not going to be discussed, and then the leaders are presented with exactly what those discussions are. In this case, we don't have that. I don't see the sense in the meet tomorrow. I'm fearful because we would have seen a series of propaganda emanating from Caracas. And I'm fearful that the meeting could happen tomorrow. They can discuss everything other than the Guyana border controversy. And we see statements emanating from Caracas, which suggests that President Irfan Ali agreed with Nicolas Maduro for perhaps the channel out to the sea that we know former President Barret Jagdeo was advocating when he was opposition leader and so forth. So I'm very fearful of that. The information that we are disposed to in Guyana, in Caracas or Venezuela as a large, they're not exposed to the same. Just like how we have the National Communication Network from time to time will spew a lot of government propaganda. In Venezuela, there are about 15 channels dedicated exclusively to the Venezuelan government's propaganda. And they can put that propaganda out, and that is what the populace in Venezuela believe. And when you listen to the comments from Mr. Carl Greenidge, former Minister of Foreign Affairs, when you read the statement of should have ran fall, when you listen to the statement from the opposition leader of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the same searching question, what are you meeting for? This matter is before the ICJ, and it is now for the ICJ to make pronouncement on that issue. That is where we are.
Well, you know, Chris, you went into detail in explaining this, preempting my questions. But again, where are we? The much anticipated meeting, and like you said, before having these meetings, there should have been a series of talks. And that's why I'm asking, where are we? Because just the same way I'm asking, many of our citizens are asking, or almost all of them are asking, the fact that our citizens in Port Kaituma and Maruka and Mabaroom and so on, they are fleeing those areas and coming to Georgetown. They're heading to Berbice, they're heading to Linden. Is a sign that these people are not confident about what is happening here and what they're hearing from NCN. We have seen just these past couple of days several letters. Letters and statements we got, and of course, don't let me forget to say the players who are surrounding or who would have initiated this meeting. And so it brings one's mind back to 2020. And I think that's where the fear is for our citizens. We've got the players, PM Barbados, PM St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I saw PM Trinidad there. I think I saw PM Dominica there. And so when you see that kind of circle, you wonder whether the president of Guyana, and I attempted to say our president, and whether he's not, he's the president of Guyana installed, and we know that. But when we see these players there, we are wondering whether this is going to be a sellout meeting, a meeting that will comfuffle him, like people would say, and would cause him to make decisions or agree to what he's not supposed to agree to. And like you rightfully said, this is a matter that we have in court.
Correct.
You know, in the parliament, we've raised so many issues in parliament, and the speaker shut us down because he's saying it is engaging the courts, and you can't talk about it. Yeah. So I'm wondering, who are the advisors that is advising President Ali to go the way that he is going? We have seen the statements from President Maduro, who said he's going there to represent the interest of the people of the Bolivian Republic of Venezuela, because and he's very emphatic with when he talks about Essequibo. As a matter of fact, we've seen after the referendum, the people put again Essequibo on their maps.
That's correct.
How do we move on from there? Is it too late now for President Ali to say, well, I cannot attend that meeting now? Is he fearful that if he doesn't attend the meeting, something will pop up? Where are we?
Okay, so I know today a second letter has been dispatched from President Ali seeking.
But let me just cut you a little bit, Chris. Now, we have seen all these letters going left, right, left, right, left, right. But if President Ali was saying something to this nation, then all those letters would not have meant anything to us. But he wasn't saying anything, which is giving the impression as if, something was happening behind the scenes. And now that I'm exposed, I'm saying something, because we heard that this meeting was being initiated since sometime in September.
Correct. No, but look, okay. So let me start back where I started just now. So there is a second letter that was dispatched by President Ali today, iterating his position as it relates to going and meet. That one, no discussion would be had as it relates to the Guyana border controversy, and seeking clarification from the coordinators of the meeting as to exactly what the meeting is about. We are on record as asking what is the agenda. And I'm pretty sure by now, President Ali must have in his possession an agenda, because you don't turn up at a meeting in another country and then say, well, okay, this is what we're going to talk about. You mentioned several prime ministers, and particularly when it comes to Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Ralph Gonzalez, and Mia Motley, but particularly Ralph Gonzalez. We've had our own experience with him. And we always have to keep at the back of our mind, in this geopolitics, every country participate in an activity or an event to suit their own interests. We heard today from the opposition leader of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and he has said, he's on record as saying that a delegation from St. Vincent and the Grenadines were just recently in Caracas, and there were several agreements that was made with them, inclusive of Venezuela sending, I can't remember the specific items to them to aid St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And he was on record as saying that Venezuela currently doesn't even have the capacity to do that. And he mentioned the state of the economy in Venezuela. He mentioned the state of the people in the country, can't find food to eat and so forth. So he was saying all of that to say he don't know exactly what Ralph Gonzalez administration is engaging with Caracas, when Caracas themselves right now needs help. I said that to say this. It is clear that whatever agreement was made between Ralph Gonzalez and Caracas, this is part of formalizing those arrangements, because Ralph Gonzalez see whatever is there in Caracas could benefit his interests and his country. And if Caracas say to him that, listen, we want you to broker an arrangement, an agreement, get Air Finale to come here, let me agree with this thing. So Ralph Gonzalez is doing his own self a favor. And I think right now, the government of Guyana have to understand and realize what we're in now. This is not Guyana 20 years ago, pre-oil. This is Guyana post-oil. Billions of barrels of oil. Guyana has been referred to as the Dubai of the Caribbean or South America, whatever the case be. We are in a different place and time. And I would be bold enough to say that, listen, even your closest friends is become envious of you.
Yeah.
They smile in front of your face and essentially they want what you have. And many of these Caribbean leaders, as I mentioned before, have their own country's interests at heart. They are looking after their own country's interests. And if it means selling Guyana or Guyana's leadership to the highest bidder to suit their interests, some of them will do that. And you have to be very mindful of that. If you want to know exactly what is going to happen at the meeting tomorrow, what is expected to happen tomorrow at the meeting, listen to Caracas. And Caracas has said that the meeting is to discuss the Guyana border controversy. Nothing else.
Well, Chris, I don't understand. The president is saying that he has been invited to this meeting, but yet at the same time, he's asking for the agenda for the meeting.
Yeah.
I don't understand you, a head of state, agreeing to meet, but you don't know why you're meeting.
Exactly.
Now, you are thinking in your mind that you are going to talk about bilaterals and how we can calm this thing down, maybe, and allow the ICJ to bring its judgment.
Yeah.
But that is not the thinking of the man that you're going to meet with.
And sorry, but there's also something called goodwill, good faith. We have seen aggression from Venezuela. There's absolutely no aggression from Guyana because we lack the capacity to do that. None of these Caribbean leaders who has invited President Ali to a meeting in St. Vincent and the Grenadines have asked Nicolas Maduro to calm down, withdraw troops. Just day before yesterday, Caracas opened an office in which persons who are desirous of getting an Venezuelan ID card, they can now do so. They have actionized that office now. So while people are saying that these talks will help to calm things, Venezuela or Caracas is continuing their agenda based coming out from the referendum. Out of the referendum, they marked several points or several initiatives that they are taking, and step by step, Caracas has been doing exactly that. If it was a case that these leaders would have said to us that, listen, we've spoken with Caracas, and Caracas has agreed to X, Y, and Z to tone down this, up to yesterday, the office was open.
And Chris, while you're saying that, I must remind our viewers that on the 1st of November, when I spoke here about the this whole issue with us and Venezuela, and I said, why is it that we're not having from our CARICOM brothers and sisters blatant statements, or let me say rash statements, or bold statements coming from them condemning the acts of Venezuela's aggression? And I particularly mentioned Prime Minister Mia Mortley and Prime Minister Ralph Gonzalez. And I said, those two were here and they meddled in our internal affairs. But here now, when your sister Guyana is having an issue with an outsider, you are saying nothing about it. But you've been coming to our country. You got awards from our country. You got all kinds of concessions from our country. And I went so far as to saying we should block them when they're coming into our country because they create more confusion for us. And that program went wild. It circulated like wildfire in Barbados, and it caused the Prime Minister of Barbados to respond to me and to say that, oh, she wants the Guyanese people to know that she's with them 150%. But subsequently, of course, the media in Barbados, they were honking me, and I had to talk with them. But there were two programs that I was engaged in from persons in Barbados. And they were saying on that program, I don't know if the operator has a copy of that, but they were saying there, don't listen to the words of Mia Mortley. Watch the actions. Mia has no permanent friends. She has permanent interest.
That's correct.
And they don't, the people in Barbados are saying they don't trust her.
Yeah.
Now, here again, we're having Prime Minister Mia Mortley and we have Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves. Again, the people in Guyana, we are saying that we don't trust this arrangement. We don't like it. And since Prime Minister Mia Mortley is an attorney at law, and so she should know better that you cannot come out here to discuss a matter that is engaging the courts.
Yeah.
And you should have been specific to say, this is what we'll talk about. We don't want any confusion in the Caribbean. Of course, we were upset when she said Venezuela has always been a sister to Barbados. So I asked the question then, who's Guyana to you?
But according to her, Jagdew is her big brother and Irfan is her little brother.
Oh, so only the two. So only the two of them.
Who sent Curry to her?
So only the two of them and not Guyana.
No.
Oh, yeah. So it means therefore that they did a one Guyana slogan. It really won.
Yeah, exactly. But the key question, and you rightfully mentioned, have you seen or heard any statement from Mia Mortley post Gonzalez' pronouncement about this meeting?
No.
Good.
No.
Similarly, you've heard the strongest condemnation on Venezuela coming from, for example, in Trinidad and Tobago, we've heard it from Kamla Prasad Bisesar, who's not one of my favorite persons, but she had a very strong words.
Very strong.
Very strong and stern. You listen to the opposition leader of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the strongest.
Barbados, and too, Barbados. The opposition from Barbados.
So it comes back to what we said before, that they have their own interests. And Venezuela, in the past, and perhaps even currently, in terms of the relationship with Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So those prime ministers are essentially keeping their own interests keen. They don't have the interest of listen, they will say words, but at the end of the day, Irfan Ali's on his own.
But again, Chris, where are we? The much anticipated meeting, where are we? Because we just saw a couple of days ago Venezuela writing off some debts for St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Yes.
So where are we?
But
and why is it? And we have to make sure that we don't just talk on interest, but we have to say these things as they appear.
Right.
Venezuela would have written off debt for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Yeah. Well, we don't know what they do yet in Barbados. We probably gonna see that
later.
There's
a vote to be taken at the UN in which May Mortley is going to petition to become the UN general.
Well, I was going to come to that, but I want to say to our viewers, we heard that the president of Brazil was also part and parcel of initiating this meeting, but we saw him pulling out.
Correct.
What are we to understand by that? Are we saying that maybe Lula is saying, look, that confusion is not for me. Y'all tried it. Or is he saying that the trickery that y'all want to bring Guyana into, I'm not going to be part of it? In the absence, I always say this, in the absence of information, speculations.
Yeah.
So why is it that President Lula decided that he doesn't want to be a part of this meeting? And I mean, it's like Guyana is here, Guyana is there, Venezuela, and Brazil come all the way here. So why is it that Brazil now decided they don't want to be part of this?
I think exactly what you said. Well, first, based on some of the readings you had, initially, President Lula da Silva wanted not to be part of any talks between them. And somewhere along the line, he got himself involved. And he saw it as a good opportunity because they're neighbors. We are all the neighbors, that we can at least get them to the table to talk. I think, and after that, we still continue to see statements emanating from Caracas. We still continue to see aggression from Caracas. And I rather suspect that the president of Brazil, recognizing that this will not just be a talk and discussion, but rather it's going to be something else. And then recognizing Prime Minister Raul Gonzalez and a few other prime ministers, that there was mischief afoot. And recognizing that he's so close to both countries, Guyana and Venezuela, that he decided, listen, as you rightfully said, he's going to have no part. I'll have no further part of the business of this meeting, because it's not going to bring about what we set out to do, just to have the two leaders meet and have a conversation on everything else outside of the Ghana border controversy.
We have seen the aggression and the arrogance and everything else that you want to see coming out from Maduro.
Yeah.
I know right here too, we have our president. We have the president who displays arrogance sometimes, even at reporters when they ask him questions, and ordinary citizens when he walk around to visit and they ask him questions, we see the kind of arrogance being exhibited. Now, I mean, I really want to say it, but I can't say it. Is arrogance meeting arrogance? I am wondering if when they turn up at the table there tomorrow and Maduro say, well, I am here and I'm representing the people from the Bolivian Republic of Venezuela, and this is what I'm talking about.
And this is what I come here to represent.
And President Ali decides, I ain't come here to talk about that, we talk about other things.
Yeah.
And Maduro can jump up and he can jump. I mean, these are all things that we have to...
And it can be used. It can be used by Maduro to go back to his people, because he is on record has constantly talking about the aggression from Guyana's president, from Guyana, and so forth. He will use that opportunity if the meeting falls apart. He will use that opportunity to gather another rally in Caracas, and he will say to the people that I met with him, and he's so arrogant and he is rallying up the people and continue to push his agenda, because like the other prime ministers of those Caribbean territories, Maduro has his own objective too. Elections are due in Venezuela in the month of March, and he has to whip up support. And he's using the Ghana-Venezuela border controversy as that to mobilize the people, and it has started. Now, when you see a campaign on the ground in which you have universities, you have the paramilitary groups and so forth going around sharing flyers, and people have rallies to it. You have some of the opposition parties in support of it. So Maduro is getting what he wants as part of his agenda and his objective. This meeting tomorrow, I am pretty certain that Maduro wants nothing more than the meeting to fall apart.
Well, I'm again asking, and I don't know how many of the ministers are listening, because they usually listen to us or they have their allies listening to us. I am hoping that good sense is going to prevail, and sometime during tonight, the president will call the moderator, PM Mortley or Gonzalez, whichever one, and say, look, I have decided against coming there. Because, there are several things, like we said, can play out at that meeting. Yeah. You can have persons raising their voices, so many things, because we expect to have a civil meeting, but with the kind of aggression, we're not certain that is what we are going to be having. More so, like you just said, Maduro will have to play a role. For his people.
Because he's going there to represent his people who just voted at a referendum.
But more than that, the elections that is coming up, where we have seen Maduro losing a lot of support. So he's trying to whip the confidence up again from the people.
That's right.
And when you go out there and you tell the people that in our state, Essequibo, whatever he calls it, but this is our Essequibo is our county.
Right.
But in Essequibo, you got gold and you got diamond. As a matter of fact, the man went so far to say he's giving 3 months. 3 months notice to all those the oil company and everybody who doing gold and diamond, wherever else, and those who into forestry. 3 months he's giving them.
And this is the person who people are saying that the president of Guyana must sit down and meet to have discussion. This man has actioned all 7 of those post-referendum agenda item. The office, as I mentioned, I can't pronounce the name of the part of Venezuela in which that office is there. And yesterday, that office has been officially opened, and persons can now go there to get an ID card of Venezuela.
But Chris, I'm wondering. We are getting all these information. I'm wondering if the president and his cabinet, if they're not getting these kinds of information. And if you're aware, what are you doing about it? What we have not seen the president and his ministers making any kind of concerted effort to demonstrate unity in this country. The opposition went on record. We were in parliament, and Chris, you know that. We were in parliament and we gave 100% support, which is genuine. But we've seen them parading all over the place without the opposition. Everywhere.
You see, Monday at the meeting at the People's Parliament that we had at the Starrow Market, I made the point, I continue to make the point. A leopard never changes his spot. You can take the pig out of the mud, but you can't take the mud out of the pig. And what we've seen with the PPP is that even though they want this unified front, because it's what is needed now, it is this spot in us that even though we said this thing is that we're moving forward and we don't worry with them, all of those activities post the parliamentary sitting, all of those activities, the opposition has been invited to nothing, but we turn up because we believe the national interest of the national good outweighs the PPP's agenda. I'll give you an example. When we lost our 5 servicemen, you had several messages of condolences. The national communications
including our
network,
message, including
yes, yes. The national communications network, based on our media monitoring team at Congress Place, this is the report that they submitted to us on Sunday, that the National Communications Network, NCN, started Saturday evening at about 10 o'clock. They had some voices reading those messages of condolences. You had condolences from the Jamaican military. You had condolences from the Private Sector Commission, Minister Robeson Ben, and the list went on. Beautiful, reading all of those condolences and so forth. The National Communications Network on its own made a decision that the leader of the opposition, that equally like the Private Sector Commission and all of those persons who issue statement of condolences, was never read on NCN. And then further to that, the former president, David Granger, former brigadier of the Ghana Defense Force, in which not only the 5 servicemen that were lost, including the other 2, all of those servicemen served under him as brigadier. He issued a statement of condolence. The National Communications Network, NCN, during Saturday evening into Sunday, with those condolences that were read out, they refused to acknowledge those 2 and they were never played. They never played. And this gives you a typical example of what we're dealing with in this country, is that the PPP would say that they want a unified front. The opposition put themselves out there to provide that unified front, but this spot in the PPP continues. Now, in terms of the nation, there is no information that is being filtered to John public on a daily basis, on a 2-day basis, to keep us abreast in terms of what is happening. And therefore, the propaganda that you see coming out from Caracas are at large. And then there are those statements that they say that, listen, you only rely on information coming from reliable source. And one such reliable source, I think it was the newsroom, that mislead this entire nation on the day when the helicopter went down. That no, they found them, they went refueling, and there was nothing on the side. And then even those other sources, there is no information coming from them. So John Public is none the wiser in terms of what is happening. And every single day out of Caracas, there's nothing less than 6 statement propaganda that is flowing out of Caracas that is being circulated on social media. Where is the pushback? And you know, the old people got a saying, the higher monkey climb, the more he expose, well, I could say rear end. And this is the situation that we have in Guyana, is that when it comes to the National Communication Network, DPI, and all of these pro-government media, when it comes to bashing Aubrey Norton, Coretta McDonald, whoever in the opposition, they have their masters in that. They're masters in that. When it comes to issues like what we hear confronted with as a nation, in which those very same pro-government media supposed to be hitting on, they're absent. You're not seeing them. And that's why I said before, the higher monkey go, the more he exposes his rear end. Because now is a time when we are expecting to hear from the National Communications Network on a daily basis. There is an update government. Issue even if it's if because like CNN, BBC, NBC, the news has continued is repeat different person same message and it continues. Not from NCN.
Yeah, but you know what? What I find very amazing, Chris, and very alarming, if I can say that, is the fact that all of these overseas media houses,
Yeah.
they are talking about Guyana's issue all
Correct.
the time, all the time, all
Correct.
the time, and they're concerned about Maduro's aggression and so, and
Yeah.
we're not doing anything
Nothing.
here. And the thing that we can do here, and I'm using we here loosely, what NCN and the others are peddling is that the opposition is instilling fear and anxiety and all kinds of things in the people. But what we have been saying is actually what is happening.
Correct.
What our people have been saying to us on the Essequibo coast.
Yeah.
In Maruka, in Port Kaituma, in Mabaruma, where we have our supporters, what they have been saying to us, they're saying that at nights they're hearing planes, they're hearing all kinds of things. And I mean, you cannot put these things aside when you're hearing and you're reading and you're listening to these statements coming from Maruda.
And let me share with you why this is why putting information out there is so important. Because as you mentioned, the world has Guyana in front. We saw so many videos on YouTube, TikTok, you name it, they're there. People, analysts speaking about what they predict if Venezuela is going to invade Guyana. It's all over. But then there's nothing coming from Guyana for us to put out there that, listen, who is the aggressor? And Maduro is constantly on record referring to Guyana and Guyana's president as the aggressor. You saw him on those rallies of like, Guyana is the aggressor, Guyana is the aggressor. And that is the message that continues to go out there. You remember Venezuela, like PPP, close to Russia, so they know about propaganda. But as I said, when it comes to when the propaganda should really be turned up and who should be for it, they're absent. All of the propagandists in the PPP and that you see on NCN and this doctor this and whatever, nobody say nothing. And you have to, for example, if you have a team should be dispatched if there's not a team already in those border regions. And ever so often, if there is a flyover by a Venezuelan jet, whatever the case be, that is a breaking news because that goes out into the atmosphere. It goes out to the wider field, and people are seeing that, hey, look, Guyana is reporting that a Venezuelan jet just flew over region 1. Put that out there, and then the people in the world that are seeing this, they'll be like, but why Guyana doesn't fly back any jet? Then they'll be like, oh, but Guyana doesn't have this. So then they see what you call aggression on a country that doesn't have the resources to defend themselves. But we ain't doing that. We silent. A plane fly, oh, it's not a plane, it's a weather balloon. And you have to report.
And you know, the thing is, I hear the president talk about, oh, we have spoken to our counterparts in America, and the UN said this, and somebody said that, and this council says so, and so it's a case where you are just, I don't know if he's trying to say those things to us to tell us that, oh, don't fight up.
Don't relax.
Don't fight up. The Americans gonna come here if Venezuela decide to do anything. But the good book says God help those who help themselves. So we have got to talk to our people. I know we've been asking, what if, God forbids, what if there is something happening in some part of the Essequibo County? What kind of evacuation measures are there for our people? I know teachers are asking that last week and the week before and this week. Well, this week is worse. Parents have not been sending their children to school in some areas because of fear. And yet we are saying, oh, it's okay. Oh, we have sent off a letter here. We've sent off there. But what are you telling the people right here? Nothing.
Exactly. And you know, I mean, this is 2023. It's not 19 something way back when you don't have communication and so forth. Guyanese now are accustomed to, if something is happening in some part of the world, they get a notification and they're on the phone, they're seeing it. And they will see from how other countries operate that something is happening, it is reported. The information is there, so they are guided. So they're now asking the question, we have a situation here in Guyana. Why is it that we're not being fed in information? We know for certain some weeks ago, before the referendum, pre-referendum, that one of these 8 agencies that operate in Guyana had a meeting in Port Kaituma. with those representatives who are stationed there. It was a closed door meeting. No locals were invited inside, and they shared with those people, in the event of this, here is where you muster. In the event of this, these are the numbers you call. And they query from those persons, how many of you are in the household? What is the location? And so forth. They don't do that just by accident. They do that by precaution. It doesn't say that something is going to happen, but they're saying that if in the event that it does, this is what you do. Here it is, the government of, exactly, here it is, the government of Ghana is saying absolutely nothing. We good, we all right. But you see, at the same time, we are in Georgetown. All heads of state and ministers, they're in Georgetown. They're not where those folks are located in the border region. They're not in communities like Obadiah, Hotakwai, Sacred Heart, St. Monica, the island, Kamwata. They're not there. No. But it is those folks who are residing there, and every day they will report that they see, they hear, and they notice.
Yes. And so this is where we're coming back again to where are we? Where are we? We just had a helicopter there, a chopper crashing with 7 of our distinguished servicemen. And you know, oh, everything is okay. It's not true.
Yeah.
But the people there said they heard a loud explosion.
Yeah.
They saw flames. Sorry. And still we were hearing.
Yeah.
Then the next day we heard, oh, something happened. I know when they passed, they saw sign of life, people waving at them.
Yeah.
Giving us the impression that there was some issue that occurred and they landed safely.
Yeah.
Only to be told after that at least 3 of our servicemen are burnt beyond recognition. I mean, how do you share that? How do you comfort a family with that kind of information? These are men who would have decided that we are here to represent our country come what may.
Yeah.
But then you see photographs of this chopper not wanted to lift off. And then you're hearing all kinds of things. But yet we can't get from this government, from the Ghana Defense Force, I mean, what really transpired. So you're hearing, oh, Venezuela shoot them down. Oh, the person who was supposed to flying the chopper wasn't the individual who was flying. Then you hear, oh, somebody said they flew up to a part and they said they suspected some defect and they decided that they're not flying anymore. And somebody else said, well, I can fly it. I mean, all these things you are hearing there. And then you're seeing all the efforts, all the everything, all the attention on our 5 heroes. But you're not hearing anything about the 2 survivors. Yeah. Aren't they heroes, or do they have to die for them to be named heroes? I mean, when we talk about unity and when we talk about mobilizing support and comforting, these 2 young men are traumatized too.
Yeah.
And to the fact that they had to spend a night and maybe half of a day or more than half of a day with their fallen comrades right there. Isn't that enough trauma for you to say, well, we have them here. We are going to mention them at every occasion and we're doing stuff for them. But, you know, when the opposition asks these questions, then you hear, oh, you didn't have to say that we're doing things, but tell us what you're doing. Tell the nation what you're doing.
Exactly.
And we're offering support. They're with their families. They're in the hospitals. We got them secure. We don't want to know which hospitals you got them for security purposes, right. But they're with their families. We have counselors. They're getting the best of treatment. And if it doesn't work here, then we're going to fly them out of the country.
Correct. And again, there is no reporting from the government of Ghana. There is no information being disseminated. PPP has always been known to be shrouded. Everything is shrouded in secrecy. You know, everything is shrouded
until it bursts out.
Until it bursts out, and then somebody will come and deny it, and then say it is unfortunate. And as you rightly said, like for example, Monday we had a sitting of the National Assembly. It presented the other opportunity for us to pose questions to the government. Because the last time we met as an assembly was when we had the vote in support of the government.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned before, and I want to mention it again, is that since that time, I think the president engaged the leader of the opposition, I think, 2 times after that.
2 times after that.
And that is a span of about a month and a week. Twice. So all of the developments that were happening and so forth, no briefing. When the parliament met, when you think that here will come the Minister of Foreign Affairs or a minister designate to read out and update us in terms of what is happening and so forth, no information. They didn't even mention anything about this meeting with the president. Nothing on that front. Then now tomorrow, Thursday, it was expected to be a sitting of the National Assembly. Only about 45 minutes ago to an hour ago, we received a notice from the National Assembly that the Parliament has been postponed.
Well, Chris, we need to let our viewers know that we only meet in Parliament when the PPP wants money.
That's correct.
That's the only time we meet.
Yeah.
As long as they want money, they call a sitting of Parliament. Nothing else is important. They either call the sitting to approve monies that they've already spent or monies that they're hurrying to spend. So we might very well expect to see sometime during next week, when you're busy with having your little get together for the children and so on, they call a sitting of Parliament. And when we go there, it's not the business of the nation.
Right.
It's money. I mean, this budget is going to take us to what, 700 and something billion dollars?
It should reach over 8. It should reach 8 because the supplementary
that they're bringing now.
Yeah.
Now, the question that we would want to ask, because we have to talk about all of these things. After you would have budgeted all of those monies in February, I think this is our third supplementary or the second one.
It should be. You lose count after that.
Maybe the third. But one wonders, where are these monies going? Because there's so many schools that are not yet completed. So many roads that are not yet completed. Extension after extension. And then you see supplementary coming for some of these same roads.
Yeah.
I see in this supplementary budget, they talk about gasoline and traveling expenses, something to that effect, which is saying that you need to get monies for all these expenses on the education. Now, school is going to be closed for 3 weeks come Friday. I don't know why you need all these monies, because it's 3 weeks the children are going to be out of school for. And in the far-reaching areas where they have dorms, if students are going to be there, then you don't need to travel them. They don't need to travel anywhere.
Correct.
What are we doing with these monies? I'm seeing monies for security and all these security services and so on. We budgeted in February to pay them.
Yeah.
So only again, one set of people are benefiting from the resources of this country.
Correct.
The masses are not benefiting from it. So what are we doing with these monies? Where are we?
And then the question too as well, it could not be unforeseen, because in terms of the government spending money from the Consol, it has to be some matter that is unforeseen, that you didn't know it would have happened.
Yes.
So forth. So purchasing fuel cannot be something unforeseen that you didn't know you had to buy
because
fuel.
you've been there for 3 years.
Exactly.
So you know.
And you've been there 23 before that.
So you know.
You're aware. And this is why we say that, and even paying security guard is like, you didn't know you had to pay. You know that you budget, you present a budget at the beginning of the year to cater all of these expenses. So it's not unforeseen. And this is what it continues to happen, that the government dip their hand into the Consol, then come back and say, oh, if you didn't expect it, it's some spike in something or whatever the case be and so forth.
But
the monies are not going in the place that you expect it to go, which is in the pocket of the pub.
Prince, you're gonna hear that with this whole aggression from Venezuela, we had to print 25,000, maybe 100,000 T-shirts.
Yeah.
We had to print caps. We had to print stickers to put on your vehicles, and so it used up some of the monies. Yeah. But again, let's go back to what happens in February at our budget. We plan for all of these things. We plan for national events. Yeah. But yet, when it comes to the National Athletics Championship, you're hearing that regions don't have monies.
Yeah. Correct.
Certain things we got monies. And again, it brings me to the point where we talk about national events and we got all kinds of concerts. But we got local artists here, local performers here, local singers here. We're not using them, but we bring in Machel Montano and all of them from all over the place. And that's why I said a couple of times on my program, we should have had a song free from Machel Montano concerning this whole Guyana-Venezuela issue. But you're not hearing anything from him, but he coming in collecting our monies, you know. And I'm saying this to say, as a people, we will have to get to the point where we decide who come into this country and who not come into this country. We must not show up at these concerts. And if we do that, the PPP will understand that we mean business. I mean, you got people like Jomo and Ace and all them boys, Kwesi Ace and all them boys. You don't see them on anything because they have been blacklisted. Yeah. But you expect to promote the arts and all kind of thing you're saying, top thing, right? But you know the part that I really like, about this whole situation here is the fact that we forgot that we had national songs. But why we hearing them all the time now? I guess when they hear them now, they got to remember LFS Burnham. They didn't want anything to do with LFS Burnham, but the national songs playing.
Picture.
Before you go there, I remember the poem, What Would Guyana Be Without the SC People? I learned the poem since I'm in primary school. I hearing it now, though. Yeah. I hearing it now.
And that poem wasn't by accident. It was deliberate, very deliberate. So you imagine if under the PPP's 23 years, those poems continued in the nursery school, primary school system, is that all of those young adults, 20 years old, 20 whatever years old or whatever, that would have been at the back of their head. And even some of those national songs. And you it's like anywhere I am, if I hear any national song, the goosebumps raise and you start humming and singing. It's in you.
But you know, Chris, it's embarrassing that some of the ministers don't know these.
Of course not.
Because if they know the national anthem, you don't expect them to know
there you go. There you go.
Again.
And then it is a government that spent, if not billions, hundreds of millions of dollars trying to erase the national motto and bring about one Guyana. And then I want to specifically target the disc jockeys, the DJs and the selectors and so forth, particularly the ones who pop up on the radio every now and again, post or pre Venezuela aggression, and all of them. Well, one Guyana, and I mean, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing. So imagine now the same PPP were pushing one Guyana, paint everything one Guyana, color blue, a whole bunch of things. They paint pamphlet, flyers, T-shirt, millions of dollars promoting one Guyana, one Guyana, one Guyana. When Venezuela aggression comes about, then the PPP remember that there is a motto.
Yes.
One people, one nation, one destiny. And now you see all of the one Guyana T-shirt, everything pulled back. And now you're seeing one people, one nation, one destiny. So now they have to now re-educate hundreds of thousands of people in this country that because of their own propaganda to push the one Guyana, now they have to re-educate the masses. So people don't, so a lot of young ones, a lot of primary schools. So it's like, what really is it? Is it one people, one nation, one destiny? Or is it one guy? Confusion. And you, if you're a disc jockey, a DJ, a selector, whatever, on your radio program or whatever, you too are partly responsible because you are of an age that you know what is our national motto. And by virtue of you putting that one guy out there, you contributed to the disinformation of our populace.
First, we have too many gullible people in this
society. Very gullible.
Too many gullible people in this society. And some of them, because they want to be in certain grouping, they go with just about anything. Correct. But you know what, Chris? We must tell our viewers here, the PPP were the same ones who were disrespecting our military men.
Yeah.
They got them cleaning. They got them doing
pick up the grass, everything.
They got them
doing. And you know why that came about?
And then they went so far, they didn't say it, but they went so far to call them hungry belly in a different way.
You know where that come about? Is that coming into office in 2020, you know the level that the Guyana Defense Force was taken up to. under David Granger's administration. And for the PPP, it's like, no, these soldiers and these police, they've been in the barracks. They don't do nothing. They're getting paid every month. They're getting fat on the job. So Irfan decided, listen, I could teach them, I could show you how to do with them. I could bring on my men on mission, and I could put them, you can see I could walk them, they're cleaning gutter, picking up grass with the dog, just pee and poo on and them thing. Soldiers. And we were since then advocating that why not bring the prisoners, people who are in prison for minor offenses, a little spliff, a little shoelace, a little roachy, 3 years, bring them out, put them to clean, let us spend 2-3 weeks or a month cleaning, and then that's it for the jail time. But instead of that, they bring the men and women in uniform to clean gutter, disrespectful them. When the Venezuela aggression come, then they realize, oh, our servicemen are them, and everything, they put all them on a pedestal. Suddenly you hear about men on a mission, no more. The mission stop. The men on mission stop, the soldiers and police are cleaning gutter no more, because now we got to bring them on a pedestal, the most important, because they go to the front line. You understand me?
So disgusting.
That is the PPP.
And that disrespect has reached a point where, Chris, before I get to the point that it has reached, I love the formations that we're having now when we're forming using our students and pupils to form the map. And we're doing one people, one nation, one destiny, and we're making hearts and so on, and we're getting them to do the formation of the flag in the different colors. I love mass game, mass
That's what happened with the sheep. They realize that
Ready? I'm on? Okay, good. So, viewers, I want to say to you that GPL, where is Bishop two? No, not two. Somebody's saying two. Bishop one Edgil. Where's Bishop Edgil? What is happening to the Indar? Why we get blackout is the whole country blackout, you know? And I figure every time we have to talk about serious business, they block us out. But it's a good thing we got generators standby power, so we're on again. But I was saying to you, Chris, that thank God for mass games. So we're having all of these formations. Outside of the formation, Chris, this disrespect. We got, according to the minister within the ministry of the president, the minister within the ministry of the president with responsibility for finance. This whole thing confusing. I don't understand. If you got a minister of finance, it's a minister of finance. But I hear they said Jaguar is the minister of finance, so they can't have a minister. They have a minister within. But this decrease that we got, because it's not an increase. Last year, there was an 8% bullion increase. This year, we got 6.5. What's your take on this disrespect?
Yeah, it is a decrease when your production of oil and the resources from oil has increased. So make sense of it all. It is public servants again.
Some people would say, Awada.
It is public servants again. And that's why I said some time ago that Chetty Jagan and Janet Jagan might be rolling in the grave. Because they are one who always fight for empowerment of public servants and so forth, increase in salary. But this current group, they don't care about that. They don't care about that. But what is instructive is that though it is 6.5%, each one of the PPP ministers and the bigwigs getting the same 6.5%. And that's why I remind persons on Monday night that under the AP and USC government, based on your salary scale, that's how you got percentage.
Yes.
Public servants who at the time received like $80,000 to about $160,000, they would have gotten an increase of about 20%.
Don't go till to 80. You got to start with the public servants who are receiving the 30-something and $40,000 that was carried to 70,000.
Exactly. And persons like ministers and senior public officials that taking home at 800,000 or the 1.2 or the 1.5 million, like the current ministers, under the AP and UAFC government, they took home 1%.
Yes.
1% decrease. So while public servants gonna get, when they retro this money, some will get 87,000, some will get a 60,000 or whatever. The ministers, the PPP ministers of the government taking home 900,000 or 1 point something million
Chris,
with forces like that.
Chris, this here can rock the boat because one minister's retro will be the salary of about 20 public servants who are drawing between that 80, 70,000, 80 line.
Correct.
And it might be more than that.
Correct. So it wasn't
that is
by
what
accident.
they're taking home in addition
Correct.
to their salaries and all the other perks that they're getting.
So the increase is not about the public servants, it's about the ministers who are already getting super salaries, a chauffeur, security guard. No, they don't pay GPN, they don't pay GT&T, they don't pay the cell phone bill, they don't pay the Wi-Fi bill. Taxpayers' money pay all of that. So outside of all of that, they are now going to get 6.5%, which will mean 900,000 to 1.7 million. So while you, the ordinary public servant, is contemplating this $80,000 extra that they get when it's retro, $80,000 extra, and you looking to buy the curtains or whether to paint the wall or repair the front step, the ministers, the PV ministers want, like Monday in Parliament, that one minister was discussing with the other one that he daughter wants a car. So the trouble that they get now is the model of the car. So that retro money that the minister getting, they're going to use to buy a car. So while you are public servant trying to figure if to buy the curtains or cook the pepper pot, the ministers of the PPP government contemplating which car they're buying with the retro money.
again, like I said in my response to this 6.5, that we are placed here in a situation where the rich will continue to live the big lavish life,
Correct.
while the poor will be strunting for the crumb. And I am hoping that our viewers are understanding what the PPP are doing here. And that's why we have many of them, many persons around here are saying, we miss David Granger. We miss the coalition government. Because when you look at where the coalition brought you in 3 years to where you are now after 3 years.
Leaves much to be desired. Yeah.
When it's not the murders, is the cocaine fine, is the accidents, is the whatever, is the the corruption topping it at the top, the middle, the bottom, everywhere the corruption there. And you know, the thing is, the PDP government, they're so blatant and daring and bold-faced. They're like my good friend. And I've got to mention her every time. They're like my good friend Priya. Bold with all the lies. Bold with all the deceit. Bold with all the lawlessness. You know?
Yeah.
But they just don't care. They just imagine they are in parliament after coming out to the break and they're discussing what model car the government's now strunting because you got to study if it's 2 slices of pumpkin you're gonna buy for $2,000 or if it's 1.5 slices you're gonna buy. You're studying whether you're gonna buy some celery or you're gonna buy some shallot. You're studying whether you're gonna have eggs to bake, whether you're gonna have cake because the eggs is a Mr. Man. You're studying whether you're gonna be able to buy some carrots, if you're gonna be able to buy some grapes or some apples, or you're gonna go pick some jamun or something and put it on your table. While the big fishes, they live in lavish life. And that's where we are in Guyana, where there is nothing here about patriotism. There's nothing here about love. There's nothing here about caring for the people whom you serve. What we have here is the return of massa days, where the rich will continue to get rich and the poor will continue to get poor. Where are we? The much anticipated meeting. Where are we? So I want to say to President Ali tonight, like I said in one of my messages before, in my letter that I sent to him, we did not give you, and we have not given you, and we will not give you any mandate to speak to Maduro on the Guyana-Venezuela territorial controversy. We have not given you that mandate. And if you go there tomorrow and speak on that, you're on your own. I ain't gonna say anything else because I don't want you to come after me or them and they'll come after me. But I'm telling you, you're on your own. Because as a Guyanese nation, we will continue to say Essequibo belongs to us and that we are one people, one nation, one destiny. Viewers, I want you to remember what I'm saying. And President Ali, it's not too late to change your mind because at the end of the day, you got to come right here to live with us. And if you could sell out, Essequibo, you go over there. Because our foreparents, they fought hard for this. And we will continue to hold on to this. We are one people, one nation, one destiny. Guyana is made up of 3 counties, Essequibo, Demerara, and Berbice. And within those counties, we have several demarcations for administrative regions, and we will keep all of them. So if you got to call off this meeting, call it off. In addition to that, we didn't even know who the people that go in with the president to this meeting.
Big year.
We didn't even know who are these people that going to this meeting. And I mean, are these people really competent to sit at that meeting? I don't know. You got to tell us. And since you're not telling us, we got to ask the questions, and openly we have to ask them. But I can hold my peace for now. Honorable Christopher Jones, your closing words.
I'd like to thank you very much, Coretta, for having me on the program. I'd like to encourage the Guyanese people to stay focused and remain vigilant. We know your interest is Guyana remaining intact, and we have your interests at heart.
Well, with that, Chris, I want to say to our Guyanese folks, You see all them Venezuelans who come in this country and with the linemen all around the place, just keep your eyes on them. Watch their movements, monitor them. The government seem not to know, or they just, well, I shouldn't say seem not to know, they know very well. But like everything else is, put ropes and bend to the blows. Where he can tell us that 21,000 Venezuelans in this country. But you and I know different. We just want to ask you to monitor their operations because we don't know how many of them are trained as soldiers, how many of them are intelligence men, how many of them are criminals. We don't know because the criminal government that we got and the corrupt government that we got, they're releasing the kind of information because their purpose was to have these people here to have these persons here to vote for them. But you notice how things backfiring, and old people would say, God don't like ugly. But I want to say to us, let us continue to hold on to Guyana because Guyana is ours. We can't go anywhere else and say we belong there. We belong to Guyana. We're Guyanese, and we will continue to hold on to Essequibo, Demerara, and Berbice. That's all for now on Advancing the Cause. Again, I ask the question, where are we with this much anticipated meeting? Is it going to profit us? Is it not going to profit us? Why did we agree to have this meeting? But we'll see you again next week at the same time for much more on Advancing the Cause. Stay safe, be careful on the road, look out for those who are not looking out for you, and let's continue to shout, we are Guyanese. Bye-bye. God bless you.
May